Welcome back to Sage Audio. Today we're covering our picks for the top 10 mixing tips. To get the most from your music, watch the entirety of each chapter for a complete understanding of the topic. Also, if you have a mix that you need mastered, send it to us to receive a free mastered sample of it with the link in the description. Keep things simple when possible. For this video, the chapters aren't in any particular order, so feel free to pick and choose which tips you incorporate into your productions. One of the biggest mistakes I used to make when mixing was to use too much processing, much of it conflicting. With that in mind, I now use as little processing as possible to accomplish a task or try to find the simplest chain for a particular job. This doesn't mean to avoid problems in your mix, but just to find the simplest way of remedying them. To illustrate the concept, let's listen to two chains, both accomplishing the same task, but one chain has redundant processing. Talking to me sideways, what did you say? I've been thinking lately that there's something on your mind. Have another nightcap. Use saturation for multiple effects. Following this idea from chapter 1, we can use saturation to accomplish multiple tasks instead of using various processors. For example, saturators introduce soft knee compression, harmonic distortion, subtle equalization, and possibly even transient expansion, depending on the saturator that you use. Let's listen to the difference saturators make when introducing them to all signals in this mix. Talking to me sideways, what did you say? I've been thinking lately that there's something on your mind. Have another nightcap. If you're enjoying the video, consider hitting the like button. It really helps us bring you more videos. Use compression musically. In addition to controlling dynamics, compressors can shape transients, introduce distortion, and control the overall timbre of a signal. With that in mind, I'm going to use a compressor on my drum loop and introduce super quick attack and release times to distort and amplify my transients. Let's take a listen and pay attention to the transients of the signal. Try series compression on vocal. If you're having trouble getting your lead vocal to sit right, use two compressors back to back or in series. The first compressor I like to use will control the dynamics quickly and return the signal to unity quickly. The second is usually an optical compressor to smooth the sound. Let's listen to these compressors introduced one at a time to hear how they work together on the vocal. Talking to me sideways, what did you say? I've been thinking lately that there's something on your mind. Have another nightcap. Only a small percentage of people that watch our videos are subscribed, so if you're enjoying the video, consider subscribing. It's free and you can always change your mind. Don't mix with a limiter on the mix bus. Although using a limiter on the mix bus may be tempting, it's going to give us the wrong idea about the relationships between various instruments and their respective dynamics. Additionally, it's going to affect our transients and change the timbre of our entire mix, making it difficult to mix accurately. To illustrate this, let's listen to two limiters on a mix and notice how each completely changes the timbre of the overall mix. Talking to me sideways, what did you say? I've been thinking lately that there's something on your mind. Have another nightcap. Be particular with reverb. Although we're often particular about which compressors we use or analog emulators we place on the vocal, etc., we rarely consider how reverb plugins each have a distinct sound and are best suited for particular purposes. For example, Pro R by FabFilter has a very natural and laid-back sound. On the other hand, Logic's Chromaverb has a bright and aggressive sound. Each work well for different situations, so let's listen to both with the same settings and notice their distinct sounds. BPM equation explained. I'm often asked in the comments how to time the release time of a compressor to the song, or maybe the delay or pre-delay, etc. But to do this, we only need one equation. If we take 60,000 and divide it by our track's BPM, we get 1/4 note in milliseconds. Once we have this number, we can divide it by 2 to get an eighth note, or multiply it by 2 to get a half note, and so on. So use this equation whenever you want to make a time-based function in time with the BPM of your song. Let's listen to one of the reverbs that we used in the last chapter, but now with in-time reverb.
Talking to me sideways, what did you say? I've been thinking lately that there's something on your mind. Have another nightcap.
Know when to use linear phase. Linear phase isn't always needed, but if you're using an equalizer for parallel processing, you'll need to use a linear phase setting to avoid phase cancellation. I recommend using a low latency mode to avoid the effect of pre-ringing and to reduce the impact linear phase has on transients. Let's listen to a parallel process signal with and without linear phase processing, and notice the phase cancellation that occurs without linear phase enabled. Try binaural panning instead of stereo expansion. If you're using Logic Pro X, you have access to binaural panning, which lets you easily use psychoacoustic effects to place the instrument within a field, as opposed to just left or right panning. I find this is a better option than stereo imagers and results in a better sound. Let's compare stereo expansion and binaural panning and pay attention to the realism of the effect.
Talking to me sideways, what did you say? I've been thinking lately that there's something on your mind. Have another nightcap.
Use buses for cohesion. If your instruments aren't sounding uniform, change their outputs to a bus and then process the multiple instruments on that bus. For example, bus compression with a couple of dB of attenuation is a great way to make seemingly separate instruments sound as if they're coming from the same performance. Let's take a listen to this effect on the drum tracks and notice how we achieve a more cohesive sound. If you have a mix that you need mastered, send it to us to receive a free mastered sample of it with the link in the description. Thank you so much for watching.